mirror, make sure it's not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. Make sure the mirror is not cracked or pitted, no stickers or decals that would obstruct my view, and make sure that it is properly secured to the coach. Check my steering box, make sure it's not cracked, bent, broken, or loose, or leaking. My steering box hose shouldn't be loose, torn, frayed, or leaking. My pitman arm shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose. My nuts, bolts, and cotter pins should be present and tight. My drag link shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose. My torque arm shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose. And my through bolts should be present and tight, shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose. My airbag shouldn't be loose, torn, frayed, or leaking. It shouldn't be soft with no holes. My upper and lower airbag mount shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. My brake chamber shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. My brake chamber hose shouldn't be loose, torn, frayed, or leaking. My brake pad shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose, shouldn't be worn dangerously thin, free of any grease and oil. My brake rotors shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose, free of any grease and oil, and no grooves. Tire tread on the front tire is 4/32 of an inch minimum. Tire condition shouldn't have any cuts, gouges, or abrasions. My rim shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose, free of any illegal drill holes or wells. My lug nut shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose, should be all present and free of any running rust that would indicate a loose lug nut. My hub oil seal shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking, and it should also be full. If I had a tire gauge, I would check for proper inflation. I'll check my splash guards and mud flaps, make sure they're not loose, torn, or frayed, and securely mounted to the coach. My frame runs axle to axle. My cross members run side to side. Neither of them should be cracked, bent, broken, or loose, free of any illegal wells or drill holes. I have 2 airbags. Neither one of these airbags should be loose, torn, or frayed, or leaking, or soft to the touch, and no leaks. I have 2 upper and lower airbag mounts for each airbag. Neither should be cracked, bent, broken, loose, and I also have 2 hydraulic shocks behind the airbag here. Neither one of those should be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. I have my torque arm here. My torque arm shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose. My through bolt shouldn't be loose, torn, or cracked, bent, broken, loose, and present and tight. My tire spacing should be free of any foreign objects and debris. My brake chamber shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. My brake chamber hose shouldn't be loose, torn, frayed, or leaking. My brake pads shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, worn dangerously thin, free of any grease or oil, and free of any grease and oil. My brake rotors shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose, free of any grease and oil, with no grooves. The minimum tread depth for the rear tire is 2/32 of an inch. My tire should also not have any cuts or gouges, be free of any abrasions. My rim shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose, and should be free of any illegal drill holes or wells. If I had a tire gauge, I would check right here for proper inflation. My lug nut shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, or loose. It should be present and tight with no running rust that would indicate a loose lug nut. My axle seal shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. My drive shaft and my U-joints right here shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, and should be free of any foreign objects or debris. My splash guards and my mud flaps should also be securely mounted to the coach and not loose, torn, or frayed. Lock it here. Lock it here. My coolant tank shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. My coolant tank cap should be present and tight. I would check for proper fill in the sight glass here. If it didn't have any antifreeze, I would add coolant. I have 2 hydraulic shocks right here to make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. I would also check my door hinges to make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. My exhaust to make sure it's not cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking, and making any excessive noise when the coach is running. My wires, I'll check my wires to make sure they're not loose, torn, or frayed, and make sure they're free of corrosion. I would also check my hoses to make sure they're not loose, torn, or frayed, and not leaking. I would check my nuts, bolts, and clamps to make sure they're present and tight. To check my oil, I would check my oil right here. I would pull this out, wipe it off, insert it, pull it back out again. It should read between add and full. my belt-driven alternator, it should not be cracked, bent, broken, or loose. My belt-driven water pump, it should not be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. My belt for my alternator and my water pump shouldn't be loose, torn, or frayed, and should have no more than 3/4 inch of flame. I'm going to stand back and I'm going to check my bus to make sure there's no leaks. And I did say that my alternator and my water pump are belt driven. Take a look. My power steering reservoir shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking, and it should also be full. My power steering reservoir hose shouldn't be loose, torn, or frayed, or leaking. My power steering pump shouldn't be cracked. My gear-driven power steering pump shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. Attached to my gear-driven power steering pump is my gear-driven air compressor. It should also not be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. My DEF tank shouldn't be cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. And my DEF cap should be present and tight. Lock it here. Lock it there. I want to inspect this tire area here, same as I did on that side. My fuel tank, I'm going to check, make sure it's not cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. Make sure my fuel cap is present and tight. No leaks. I'm going to check my hydraulic shock on this side to make sure it's not cracked, bent, broken, loose, or leaking. And I would check the remainder of this tire area the same as I did on that side. I would check this mirror the same as I did that mirror on that side. I have 2 sets of door hinges, upper and lower. I would check to make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. I would check my door rails to make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose and securely mounted to the door. Check my door to make sure it opens and closes freely. Step inside, I'm going to check my floor to make sure it's not loose, torn, or frayed, or spongy. This bus is equipped with 3 pieces of emergency equipment. This bus is equipped with circuit breakers, not fuses. It also has, behind here, I have a ABC fire extinguisher. I know that the fire extinguisher is full because the yellow needle is in the green. I also have 3 red reflective triangles. Would you like to see them? Good. Now I'm going to check my handrails, my stanchions, and my extended handrails. Make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose, torn, or frayed. I'm also going to check my seats to make sure they're not loose, torn, or frayed, and securely mounted to the floor. I would also check the seats in the rear, the same as I check the seats in the front. I'm going to check this door here, the same as I checked that door. I'm going to check this floor, and these stairs, the same as I checked the floor up front. This bus is also equipped with an emergency roof exit right here. To operate, I would turn the red knob, push to open. I have 6 emergency windows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To operate it, I will pull down the red handle and push window at the base to open. You can come back here. Check my seat belt to make sure it's not loose, torn, or frayed, and that it also properly latches to the buckle. All right. That's the timer on my phone. Now I'm going to perform my safe start. You can kill that so it's not ringing.
Oh, it's watch.
All right, so now I'm going to perform my safe start. When I turn my coach into night run, there are 4 indicator lights that are going to appear. No charge, ABS, high coolant, and low oil pressure. When I start my coach, those 4 indicator lights are going to go out. I'm going to cover my service brake, make sure my parking brake is applied, turn my coach into night run, make sure my coach is in neutral, and is now safe to start the coach. As you see, those 4 indicators that I talked about have gone off. Now I'm going to check my mirrors to make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose or pitted. Make sure there's no stickers or decals that would obstruct my view, and that it's adjusted to my liking. I'm going to check my front door to make sure it opens and closes smoothly. I'm going to check my rear door to make sure it opens and closes smoothly. I'm going to do my indicator test. I'm going to check my hazard indicators inside and out to make sure they're working properly. My left turn signal indicator is working properly. My right turn signal indicator and my high beam indicator is working properly. I'm going to check my windshield wipers and washers to make sure they're operating properly and that they're securely mounted to the windshield. My windshield is free of any stickers or decals and not pitted. No stickers or decals to obstruct my view. And check my floor heat on low, medium, and high. I'm going to check my defrost on low, medium, and high. My air pressure is between 120 and 140. My DEF tank is full. This coach is also equipped with a wheelchair ramp. To power it on, I would flip this switch up or down. To deploy or stow the wheelchair ramp, I would flip this switch up or down. And to raise or kneel the coach, I would flip this switch up or down. My horn is working properly. So now I'm going to do my service brake test.
Attention arcade scanning app users. Remember all unused
I'm going to apply my service brake, release my parking brake. When I do my service brake test, I'm going to drive forward about 5 miles an hour, about 15 feet. I'm going to apply my service brake, and my coach should not sway left or right, and it should come to a complete stop. Everybody does it. As you can see, my coach came to a complete stop. It did not sway left or right. That means my service brake is working properly. Now I'm going to do my parking brake test. I'm going to go for an idle. Bring my coach to an idle roll. I'm going to apply my parking brake, and my coach should come to a controlled stop. My coach came to a controlled stop. Therefore, my parking brake is working properly.
What's he doing?
Me?
Getting the bus back to 120.
Right. But it's not going up because it's actually at governor cut up. So it's fine. So now I'm going to cut it off. Show me neutral. Okay. Now I'm going to perform my air brake test. I'm going to apply my service brake. I'm going to turn my coach into night run. Make sure my coach is in neutral. I'm going to release my parking brake. And while I'm holding my service brake, I should not lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute. Can you time me? Are you timing?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. As you can see, I did not lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute. Therefore, that part of my air brake test is working properly. Now for the second part, I'm going to continue to fan my service brake, and at or around 60 psi, my low air indicator light should come on. As you can see, my low air indicator light came on around 70 psi. That part of my air brake test is working properly. Now for the third part of my air brake test, I'm going to continue to fan my service brake between 20 and 40 psi. My parking brake should pop. As you can see, my parking brake has applied at 40 psi. That part of my air brake test is working properly, and that completes my air brake test. Could you assist me outside to check my lights? Now could you assist me checking my lenses, my marker lights, and my reflector tape to make sure they're not cracked, been broken, or loose? Okay, so I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna make sure my headlight lens and my high beam lens are not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. Make sure my turn lights aren't cracked, bent, broken, or loose. Make sure my lights aren't cracked, bent, broken, or loose. I'm gonna come out here. I'm gonna check my upper marker lights to make sure they're not cracked, bent, the lenses aren't cracked, bent, broken, or loose. I'm gonna make sure my turner signals aren't cracked, bent, broken, or loose. I'm gonna make sure my lower marker lights and reflectors are not cracked, bent, broken, or loose, and that my curb turn signal light is not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. Check this reflector, make sure it's not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. This is my reflector tape. There's some damage right there, so I would mark that on my defect card. I'm going to check my clearance lights back here, make sure it's not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. I do have one out. I will put that on my defect card. Check all my lenses, make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. Lights, make sure these are not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. All these are good. They're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. Marker lights here. I check my upper marker lights, make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. I'm gonna check my turn signal lenses, make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. And I'm gonna check my lower marker lights and reflectors, make sure they're not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. I see I have water in that one. I will put that on my defect card. Check this lens here, make sure it's not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. And my light right here for my entry step, make sure that's not cracked, bent, broken, or loose. How much time do I have?
You have 12 minutes.
I got 12 minutes left. I didn't run. I think I'm done.
You done?
I ain't hit the horn yet. So at this point, I'm gonna sit here because I got 12 minutes left. And I'm gonna think. I did the windshield, did the horn, did everything. Did the turn signals. I think I got everything. That's it.
18 minutes and 40.